What is up, guys, and welcome back to another brand new video. Today we are here for episode number 7, I believe. It is the Austrian Grand Prix. I'm feeling pretty good about this weekend, to be honest, because Austria is a nice strong track for the player and not so much for the AI. So we had a durability upgrade come on the car and a weight redistribution which failed. That's lovely. We can rectify that in time for Silverstone, that'd be nice. And the drag reduction upgrade, that is a awesome upgrade. That's the upgrade that's the best for the weekend, I totally believe, because we know Austria, especially for the first half of the lap, it is all DRS and slipstream. So let's get that weight redistribution upgrade on. We actually have the worst chassis, believe it or not, if you didn't see, which is lovely. I wanted no DRS upgrade because Hungary is not a DRS circuit, nor would engine power be any helpful. Any durability upgrade might be nice. Major gearbox, probably not. We're actually scheduled to replace the gearbox, but I think we can go without that for a little while. So, heading into Austria, as I said, I'm feeling confident about this weekend. I feel like we can maybe scratch another point or so, as we have had little bit of luck go our way so far this season, after the way the season has unfolded for us so far. Fabrication. I really want to do a fabrication for either aero or chassis, because the more upgrades we can do, the better it's going to make our car. Resource points won't do us anything. Durability, probably won't worry about that at this stage, other than decrease the failure chance. That one would be lovely. So going into this weekend, development wise, we've actually dropped behind Alfa Romeo, I think, or was that Silverstone? Because I actually recorded Silverstone a little later on. So we've added the old engine components. When is my English going to get better? So we added the old engine components, and that's something that I like to do. I like to run old components just to see what our pace is like, without having fresh components. The only time you're going to get fresh components at a season, or in a session, is Bahrain. So which upgrade did we do here? I think we did the speed time of the chassis. I probably should have saved on a little bit more and maybe did a fabrication upgrade, because that's something that I think we should be focusing on for aero and chassis. And because we still need to save on some money too, because we've got the contract negotiations coming up after it's between the Zandvoort weekend, before or after, I don't know which one. So I would like to save a little bit more and just see how we go. In all honesty, it's something that's I want to focus on a little bit more. In all honesty, saving the cash and also getting as many upgrades on the car in time for each weekend. And because you're going to need a little bit of downforce for Silverstone, well, especially right now, I'm going to target the rear downforce, which I believe. So that's going to get on the car for Silverstone, and it'll make the car and the weight redistribution upgrade, those two upgrades will be pretty good for Silverstone. It'll make us, it'll make the car a bit more balanced when you go around the old Turn 1 and the current Turn 1 at Silverstone. It'll make us not only faster, but it'll make the car more stable going into those fast right-hand corners, especially through maggots. And that'll definitely give us a bit more of an edge over our rivals, I reckon. The stable the car, the better it is. So going into this weekend now, we briefly practice, nice and easy. I thought I had this issue before. I feel like I'm recording practice, but it turns out I wasn't. So anyway, we briefly practiced, completed all the programs, maximum amount of resource points. Don't know if we did any upgrades. Anyway, let's go to quali. one thing that I actually forgot to do, and it was pretty stupid of me, was that I forgot to completely change the old components to the level 2 components that we've been running for the last few races. So that is a big mistake from me. Hopefully it doesn't affect us too much as we go P19. I did quite a few laps in Q1 because I wanted to see, you know, what our pace was like. But anyway, this is our final run now. We are going to try and get some slipstream off the car in front, especially with the drag reduction upgrade that we got on the car. So I'm going to take you guys on board throughout the entirety of this lap. I probably took it a bit too conservative at turn 1, you know, slow and faster, but apparently that did not work, because sometimes when I use a lot of the curb, it cost me a fair bit of time, but, you know, I thought I used enough curb to, you know, keep the car stable. But here at turn 3, you know, I can get through there cleanly, and I can put my foot down so early, but the car will it'll just, you know, get a snap of oversteer, and, you know, that's probably the weakest parts of the track for me. So I probably could have done a rear downforce upgrade just to make the car a bit more stable, and maybe that, you know, weight reduction upgrade could have helped as well. Anyway, we're a tenth and a half up as we go through the final few corners. It is a very short lap here in Austria, and I think that's why, you know, it's so strong for the player. Well, I don't know, but I would have thought so. Anyway, we're not gaining as much as I would have liked on a new set of soft compound tyres, and it's the end of quali, so this is our one and only run. We run wide at the last turn. It is a 2.5 tenth improvement. Are we out of Q1? No, we're not. So that just shows how big of a mistake that, you know, not changing those components. So, and yeah, I can't even remember if I even rectified that for the race. You know, I knew that I forgot that I forgot to change the components when we entered quali, and even right now, post recording, I cannot even remember if I even did change the components or not. But anyway, it is what it is. We're just gonna have to put up with it for the race, even if we change the components or not. So we'll see how things end up.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve, as it was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Vettel, Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz, Stroll, Gasly, they've taken a grid penalty, Kimi Raikkonen and Russell, Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher and Esteban Ocon, Skip, Latifi, Lundgaard and Nikita Mazepin.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
And do that we shall. Welcome guys to the grid of the Austrian Grand Prix. We are expecting some rain in this race. As you can see, it looks like we're going to have some heavy rain just before the end of the race. Maybe. So I'm thinking about maybe extending the softs as much as I can, or maybe do the whole stint on mediums. 2 mediums, 2 seconds faster. Yeah, I reckon mediums is probably the way to go. But I actually changed my mind and I went to soft because I want to be on, the faster compound of tyre and maybe extend that to the rain period. But if that doesn't happen, then we will have to do another stop, or maybe even think about doing a 2-stop, if that makes sense to you guys. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. Anyway, on the grid now, 5 red lights ahead of the Austrian Grand Prix, and we're go. And again, 2 races in a row, not the start we were looking for.
Okay, we're monitoring somewhere on the ICE. Be aware that we will start to see a loss of power.
Wow, just as what you want to hear off the line. But that confirms that how my memory is that bad. So yeah, I did forget to change the components heading into the race. So from looking like a good result, could be a worse, or could be a shithouse result. Anyway, we dive up the inside of however many cars. We're all of a sudden up into P14. Raikkonen is ahead of us next. I don't expect him to get past Yuki Tsunoda, as we have Russell diving us up the inside. What on earth? I did not expect him to dive up the inside. Tried to squeeze him, but you know what? Let's leave him the space because we'll have the inside here for 6, and we should be able to hold on for the time being. So at the end of lap 1, we are up 5 spots already, and I don't expect that to happen or expect to move up any more spots anytime soon. Nice and late under brakes. Sometimes I'd like to go deep into 3, but sometimes it's kind of a bad thing going in that deep, because you can overshoot the corner massively and you can actually...
We think we may see some rain. ETA is about 15 minutes.
Okay, so about 15 minutes to the rain period, which should be in around maybe lap 19, 20, something like that. So we're leading this current DRS train, and we are trying to stick to Raikkonen. Surprisingly, with our old components and, being Austria being a slipstream track, we were actually able to stay within, 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds to Kimi. Someone who is holding firm in a DRS train, Max Verstappen, leading the way from his the 2 Mercs, Perez, his teammate, and the McLarens, and I think there was a Ferrari in that. So, moving forward now to lap 10.
Expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
Funny you say that. And we have one right, Jeff. Nice letting me know when I'm about to turn. Anyway, Russell gets up the inside. Are we going to have a look up the inside? We brake as late as we dare, and we dive him up the inside, and we're going to get DRS off of that because we were just far back enough to stay in touching reach. And you know what? The gap to Raikkonen, it didn't even go down. It stayed the same, surprisingly. We've got an Alpine defending into the second last turn, and looks like he's lost his wing. Who was that? It's an Alpine. I think it's Ocon. Oh, well, why would you be defending that much and have Gasly take off your wing? Why would you do that? Esteban? Wow. So let's go back and just see what happens here. So Gasly turns in. Oh. Yeah, he just came across into his racing line and he lost his wing. How's that not a penalty? But I want to see where Ocon ends up, and was he coming into the pit lane anyway? So, let's just see what happened here. Oh, he was coming into the pit lane anyway, so, and he swerved to the right a little bit to try and get out of the way, but then came back left. So lap 17 now, we skipped for quite a fair chunk of the race because, nothing happened. So what I've decided to do is go on to another set of soft compound tyres, and on lap 17 probably should go to mediums, but considering that the rain period is only a few minutes away, and well, as you can tell the difference now, the clouds are covering over 2 laps later, and I was sort of hoping to, be, on a shorter tyre, and yep.
We're expecting some rain soon. Expect the first drops in the next few minutes.
And well, yeah, there you go. So the clouds are coming over now, and looking at the halo, you'll see, yeah, there are the first drops of rain coming in now. So now the next few laps are going to be crucial. And you know what? Us being on soft compound tyres and maybe using up all of the gas, we were able to, stay within, those final few seconds of Raikkonen, Russell and Mick Schumacher, who is now getting overtaken by Raikkonen, and then one lap later we are potentially going to have a look at him with DRS. Usually when DRS gets disabled, it means it's that time to make the switch for intermediate tyres, as we kindly run wide through turn 3 and Schumacher gets back up our inside, but we are going to try and go around the outside here at turn 4. The track is starting to get a little bit wet and a little bit slippery, so this may be the time where we have to make a ballsy decision and maybe come in now for intermediate tyres, especially going through 6 and 7 here. The car just felt the car was sliding a little bit, so I reckon now is probably the time for intermediate tyres, and I'm hoping that is the case. And as you can see, the puddles are starting to appear, so you know what, this is the time for intermediate tyres as we cheekily go through the pit lane unconvincingly. So I generally believe this is the time to come in and pit for intermediate tyres, and if we gamble this right, we could jump a whole bunch of positions while the others have stayed out on a slick tyre. We are the first to blink. Let's see. Oh geez, that is a very, very slow stop. 3 seconds. That is a slow stop. Hopefully the others have slow-ish pit stop, but out onto the track we go, and well, you can easily tell the difference. You can see that the track is definitely a lot wetter, so I reckon we've gambled this right. We have taken the gamble. It's put us in last place, but we have made the decision that could get us some points in this race. We'll have to see what the others do, and I'm sure they'll be boxing, no doubt. So we move on to the end of lap 24. Others are in the pit lane now, and I'm looking at the leaderboard, and Christian, he's decided to stay out. Why have you decided to stay out, Christian? And now that DRS has been disabled, so now this is the time for inters. So Christian, why haven't you come in, mate? I don't understand. I don't understand why you do an extra lap on slick tyres when you know that it's time for wet tyres. So Christian, that is a big mistake on your side. You should have come in one lap after me. I'm sure the team would have told you that. But, you know, we're just going to have to march on with this race now. And we've got Gasly and Raikkonen. So we've jumped Raikkonen and not quite Gasly, but apparently Russell didn't... has actually extended the gap. So I'm actually a little bit surprised about that. So now it's about, you know, trying to hold position and maybe, you know, try and sneak away from Raikkonen and try and hold with Gasly for a little while longer. So just a quick look at the leaderboard. So looks like the AI may be doing a 1-stop or maybe a 2-stop, depending if they were going to finish on soft. George Russell doing a medium right.
We've been informed of an incident which has resulted in lots of loose debris on the track. The safety car is being deployed.
Wow, this is massive. What goes on here? Whoa, what? That's a Merc? That just crashed into the back of a Haas, it looks like. What? Oh, that's how it started. Williams going into the back. Well, it's Latifi who's just lost his wing, completely ran into the back of Mazepin. What? Oh, he's got an engine failure, so that would be the first reason why. And let's just go back here. What has happened? And it's the Merc of Lewis Hamilton, I believe, who just crashed out of the race. So now, we could be on to score some points here, even though we've got however percent engine wear. Anyway, we're back onto green flag. Didn't quite get out the last turn as nice as I would have liked. And heading to turn 1, Latifi's trying to let everyone pass, but he's blocking the race line and preventing us from having a run at Gasly and Russell. Latifi, what on earth are you doing, mate? And he's trying to have a run at us, and a nice green for us. Thankfully, he doesn't take us out. Wow, into turn 3 now. And Christian, what is this? He's pushed me off the track. So 2 cars have pushed me off the track in the space of 20 seconds. What is this? Are they trying to cost me some points here? Wow. Some ridiculous driving here. And now we've got Gasly having a little look at Russell going into turn 1. Are we going to get the run on these two? Probably a little bit too conservative. Probably could have been a bit more aggressive going through turn 1. Probably could have had a nice run on there. But it's Gasly who's got the DRS, or not the DRS, but the slipstream on Russell, and trying to go round the outside into, or around turn 3, and we can't quite get the run as more and more puddles are starting to form on the tracks. And this time Gasly is still hanging there around the outside, but look at the track, there's more puddles coming in, and if you look at the rain, it is definitely getting heavier. So this is going to be a very interesting last couple of laps to determine what happens in this race. So Gasly now gets past Russell, and we could be able to get Russell if we can stay with him and maybe score P12. I don't think points are out. Well, points are definitely out the window now. We have a look at Russell up the inside of turn 1. Job done. And it looks like it could be P12 for this race. This could be, the last spot gained as we head on to the last lap. Now, George is having a look at us. We shut the door firmly. We are going to go defensive into turn 4, but we've run a little bit deep. We've touched the curb. We're a little bit sideways. Wheel spin. And George has run into us and he's spun out of the race. So, George, from looking like a good result... Oh, that's a tough one. I didn't think I turned in on him. But anyway, Max wins the Austrian Grand Prix. As you can see, the track is so wet. As we enter the last lap, we are tiptoeing, and Raikkonen has run into the back of us, and he's out of the race. Raikkonen's out of the race as we get P12.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
What on earth has happened there? So, Russell and Raikkonen have rammed into the back of us in the last... 10-20 seconds of this race.
That's it then for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Austria, and a truly magnificent drive to hang on and take the win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Well, again, Max proves that he is possibly the one to beat in this season. And, maybe there's a few others that I can name who might get tested. But for us, it was another good race. Another 8 position gained race for us. We definitely have the pace. We can definitely be up there for potential, even if it's a singular point, So... And it was Hamilton that crashed out of the race, confirming Stroll. How did he DNF? Oh, he must have had an engine failure that I didn't show during the safety car. I might have just forgotten. Anyway, so still P10 in the standings at 19 for Christian. I seriously don't understand why Christian would even think about staying out on a slick tyre. And me, I absolutely judged the conditions to absolute perfection. Yeah, and the car was getting very, very slippery, and the car just wasn't stable enough. So me personally, I reckon I made the right call to come in before everyone else. And it's almost a real life scenario. You have to judge the weather to perfection and judge when the correct time is to come in for a slick tyre, not a slick, but an intermediate tyre. But it can be, the slicks or dry. You really have to judge when the crossover point is, and I feel like we judged the crossover point very, very well. So that's something that we can be positive about, and we can learn from this when we go to other weekends where it'll rain. So Silverstone will be next, as that track is an OP track for the AI. If you don't know what OP means, it means that the AI are very, very strong around Silverstone. So that's going to be another good test for us to see what our pace is like. One upgrade that I know should should get on the car will be a rear downforce upgrade, and I think that's what's lacking in this car, in all honesty. So, but as I said, just going around turn 3, you know, I can get my foot down like straight away, but then the car would get very understeering, you know, skip sideways on me. So I think, you know, rear downforce and the fabrications for the chassis and aero department, as I've said too many times, is something that I want to be focusing on a little bit as we get towards the contract periods, which is in 4 or 5 races time, I believe. But that is it for today. Good news, or whatever you call it, spoiler alert, Imola is being released, and oh yeah, there's confirmation that Stroll had a mechanical failure. Where is he? Oh, yeah, he pulled off. This was actually before we went green flag racing again, so I'm surprised. But Imola is being released over the next day or so, so I am going to be really looking forward to go there, and I want to get that into season 2 of Karima. I nearly said season 3, but I want to get Imola in for season 2 of my team, and maybe Portimao. It depends, you know, how many tracks were allowed in the one season. But F1 2020, we were doing 22 race season, so I'm hoping that Codemasters have updated the number of races that can be done in a season, and that's something that I'd really like to do, because when Jeddah comes in, it'll make it a 22-23 race season, and if you include Shanghai, it's going to be a pretty awesome calendar if you think about it. But anyway, that's it for me today, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Until the next one though, I'll see you next time.